everyone. Dr. Brian Scott with you. We're coming to you again today with insight to the end times, and we are continuing to study, as we've said so many times in the past, where are we on God's timetable? And suffice it to say, we are closer than we think. There are many scriptures in the Bible that point to end time events, which are to notify us that we're getting closer and closer. That's where we are today. We're getting closer and closer. If you're driving down the highway and you're heading towards a destination, so for me, for instance, I'm heading down the highway to go to the city of Toronto, which is quite a large city. And it's about 165, 170 kilometers away, I guess. And it takes about an hour and a half to get there, is what I'm getting at. So when I start out, I know I'm on the road towards Toronto, but I don't see any indication of that. I see green fields, crop fields, where they grow corn and oats and wheat and beans and things like that. And I'll pass a number of exits for cities, smaller cities that are in the 40 to 50 to 80,000 range population. And so I'm still not into dense housing or anything like that. I travel for about an hour and 15 minutes out of the hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, where it's mostly farmland. And there will be signs up that tell me how far it is to Toronto. It will be so many kilometers, and then it's fewer, and then fewer and fewer and fewer. And I'm getting closer and closer, but there's still no indication that I'm anywhere close until I hit an area that's called the Niagara Escarpment. And that's an area around the city of Milton, for instance. And then I'm going to be heading into, I'm getting in really dense traffic at that point. I'm getting into all kinds of industrial and manufacturing buildings. I don't see any more farmland. This seems to have disappeared. It's just nonstop buildings. It's traffic overload. The highway has widened from 2 lanes to 3 lanes to 4 to 5 to 6 lanes. The signs are coming at me with more regularity. I'm getting closer and closer. It's down to 80 kilometers away. It's 70 kilometers away. It's 60 kilometers. And the closer I get, the more intense the buildings, the greater the concentration, the density of buildings. It's just nonstop building after building after building after building. The traffic numbers are huge. It's easy to miss your turnoff because there's so much traffic. We're getting so much closer. And when I'm getting really, really close, I'm in the midst of the city before I even know it. I go from outlying areas where the buildings are, just jam-packed, and then I'm right in the city and don't know it. I'm a long ways from the city center still, but I'm in the city, and the traffic is basically start and stop. You can't change lanes. You're in pandemonium of cars and horns, and everywhere you look there are buildings. Well, that's where we are on this timetable with God. We have been out in the countryside for the longest time, knowing that yes, sooner or later we're going to see this thing come together called the end, and so on. But now we're at a point where we're not necessarily in farmland. We're in industrial and manufacturing type buildings, and they're getting to be very, very close together. There's hardly any gaps. What I'm really getting at is all the events that are referred to in 2 Timothy chapter 3 in the verses 2 through 10 or 12. All those events are occurring simultaneously. They're not even spread out. They're just all occurring simultaneously. The events that Jesus spoke of in Matthew 24, they're now occurring with regularity, and they're simultaneously occurring, and they're intensifying, and they're occurring all the time. He talked about things like wars and rumors of wars. He talked about earthquakes, and he talked about fires and so on, and floods, and those things are happening. They're in the news every day. People are going to be killing people. That's in the news every day. So we're getting closer and closer and closer. And I've used up most of my time today, but let me just at least direct your attention to the second major feature that will occur in these last days as we prepare for the end, and that will be people will be lovers of money. And this lovers of money, in the Greek word, here's what the translation would read: an excessive love of money or material possessions. A people with an abnormal preoccupation and fixation on acquiring money and material possessions. Does that not describe North America? Like, wow, does that not describe North America? That's where we're living. And it's become something like we've never seen before. It's out of control. We're seeing this at the government level like we've never seen before. The spending, they've thrown budgets out the window. They don't pay attention to budgets anymore. And they throw money around like it was water. Money they don't even have. They print it. It's brand new. It causes what we call inflation. It causes a massive oversupply of funds. It causes all kinds of macroeconomic issues. And we're in the midst of that like never before. We're basically bankrupt countries. Almost every government that we are familiar with, whether it be federal, provincial, national, whatever you call it, whether it be municipal, local, they're basically bankrupt. They don't have the money. They're spending money they don't have. It's all on credit. Now, if it was your home doing this, you'd be in trouble. And in fact, you are in trouble. But it's a sign of the last days, and it's a sign that's on what I call, it's on steroids. It's like out of control. And this is one of the signs that's motoring everything else that's occurring, this tremendous love of money. And I want to share more about that with you when we come back next week. I call you blessed. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Amen.